Welcome everyone to episode number 237 of NoCoders Office Hours. I'm your host, Tanya. I'm here with our members, Jesus, Ben, and Sebastian. We're going to get started in just a moment, but first, if this is your first time tuning into Office Hours, what it is we host 6 Zoom sessions per week, and our developer members get to come on those Zoom sessions and ask us any bubble questions they want, and we try to get them answered. We can't promise to always have the answer because nobody has all of the answers, but we do a pretty good job, and we get it right most of the time. If you would like to get your bubble questions answered, or if you have questions about Xano or Airtable or other no-code tools, please do go sign up at pronocoders.com and come on to Office Hours, and we'll help you get those answered. Welcome, everybody. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good.
Good.
Awesome.
It's
Jesus, you were here first. Do you have some questions for tonight?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's go for it.
All right, so let me share my screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep, I can.
Okay, so here's the issue that I'm running into right now. So I created this collection page in which the idea is that this will be a collection of posts together. There is an admin, so the person that created the collection, that collection has its feature image, the name, and so on and so forth. With that being said, so here's the feature image, collection name, and the creator. But when I go to display like the post inside the collection, this is how I'm searching for the posts. So I'm searching for the collection. I'm not sure what to put on the constraint, but with that being said, each post have a feature image or a thumbnail, which I'm trying to pass the data, but this is what I get. So let's say it's a video. So if I do that, then the pictures are not populating in the image field. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to explain.
Let me see if I follow. So you want to show a featured image from one of the posts in the collection?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. So, and do you want the user to be able to specify which post should be their featured image post?
No, so basically what's going to happen is the user that creates the collection. So he said, okay, so I want to add these 10 posts. He had those 10 posts onto the collection. And then this is a repeating group that I'm trying to search for those posts.
Are you searching for, like, this repeating group is supposed to be a repeating group of collections and not of a specific collections post? Or do I have it backwards?
And this repeating group will show the post.
Oh, I got you. Oh, okay, got it. So change the type of repeating group. So go to your repeating group and change the type of content to post. And then what you want to do is go ahead and clear out the data source.
Okay.
And click where it says click in the data source.
Uh-huh.
And you want current page collections posts. And then what you can do in there is current tools posts image, video, thumbnail. There you go.
Oh my God. I've been trying to solve this thing for like a week. We're so stupid.
Well, that's what we're here for. So.
Okay.
And you can always post something. You can always post something like that in the general channel or on Discord in the developers channel.
Okay.
If you can't make it to office hours, I know sometimes making it to office hours is tricky. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
I have more questions, but I will go after like whoever.
Sure.
If anybody
Ben,
else
do you
have
have any
questions.
questions for this evening?
I'm just hanging out.
Just hanging out. How about you, Sebastian?
Cool. Yeah. Well, like Jesus, I have a few easy questions, and I'm so happy about office hours. I think it's the best things since Sweden invented meatballs or something.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's saying a lot. I know. Actually, it was a Swedish king called Karl XII who was fighting against Russia in the 1750s something, and then he got beat up and he ran down to Turkey, and he lived there for 5 years, and then he brought the meatballs back to Sweden from Turkey. So they are actually Turkish in the beginning. Yeah, very well. Enough with the history.
But we all know about. Yeah, we all know about like the Swedish meatballs here in the United States is the big thing at the IKEA stores. IKEA. So.
Yeah, now you know they are actually Turkish. Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. So I have this very strange bug. I create pending users, and then I try to make them into a new user. And I'll try to explain this in the best way. So I have all pending users here. I have somewhere Sebastian at Wildfire at Secure 1. Sebastian gets an email and he clicks on the link. He gets to the sign up page. And here we have the email, we have the team, we have the company. And then I just sign up with a random email. I'm not a user yet. And then I come to this page, and we can see that Sebastian is created, but he doesn't have a company or a team or anything, which is okay. There's something going on. But if I go back to this page, now look what happens. Strange. So let's look at the workflow here at this page. User is button logged in. Sign the user up. Log the user in. User is logged in. Make changes to search for teams. Get team from page URL, team, text, team. And from that information, it creates the company, the team name, the employee, and it adds an employee to the team. It attaches a team ID to the team. And then I added a pause here because I thought maybe that's the problem, but it didn't help. So I take that away. And then it makes changes to the company, another data type, and the current user. Do you see the error, or do you understand what the error is?
Mm-hmm. So go back to the other workflow, the button login. So you sign the user up, and go ahead and click there. So when you're signing the user up, you already have the information in the URL to work with at this point. So you can click change in other fields. You can make all of those changes as you're signing the user up.
Here. Like, and then and then I get data from URL.
Exactly.
Is current users team. No.
Oh no, you should just get team from page URL should be fine. If you click out of that, is it just delete the is? So.
Get team.
So if you just click out of, okay, so it's not resolving for some reason. So team, and then it should be of type team. So go back into that, into the, yep, so click there and get data from page URL, and then type team.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Could this be it?
There you go. And now it should work.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I understand. And then I just continue here. And then I can take away this, or should it be there?
Exactly. So you can do all of these steps, I think, probably on the same workflow.
Cool. Yeah, I'll try
and that way you don't have to return to the page.
Yeah. And that's good. That's good. Okay. I have another question. Jesus, do you want to change, or should I take my question first? It's not too long. No.
Go for it.
Okay. It's about responsive design. The first question is: do you know any good like instruction video, or in order to get more into how it works? I've seen some of them, like the align to parent and column and all that, but do you know if there's a good resource?
So you mean for the new responsive editor?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So we have a few videos that we did back in November and December, right when the new responsive editor came out. So you can look in our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If you just search for Pro NoCoders, make sure to put the space between Pro and NoCoders, and then responsive, and you should be able to find quite a few of them. Eli did like 2 or 3 of them, and then Justin did 1 of them. Yep, that's it. So the first one so that's Justin is, he's designing a messaging UI with it. And if you scroll down, on the page, there are a few more. There should be, well, that's weird. Oh, I know what it is. If you put the space between Pro and NoCoders, you'll get more.
Okay.
There you go. So Justin's, and then Eli cloned Bubble's homepage using the new responsive editor. And then I think the third one is actually the one that's most interesting for you. Eli went through building with group layout in Bubble's new responsive editor. So
great.
Those are the ones from Pro NoCoders. But then I also like, if you go to the Bubble forum.
The Bubble forum in the Discord, or no?
Nope. If you just Google Bubble forum, it should pop up. Yep. And then if you do a search for mega spread.
Mega
spread. That's it. It already popped up for you. It's the new responsive tutorials mega spread. So that's a whole list of different new responsive tutorials. I like the author of this post, Zubair. He has really good. He has a couple of good ones as well. So.
Oh, fantastic! Great tips. I'm gonna check into that and just have one question regarding it. So if I want this page to work on phones, but to be a little bit wider here, what should I do? I mean, I think I have it on. I have a bigger max wide, and I want it to fit the content, but it doesn't spread.
So I think that's probably because you have your
or should I watch? Do I have too little knowledge? Should I watch the videos before?
Well, you can watch the videos, but I don't mind handling the question. Okay. My guess is great. that the elements that you have inside of the group itself, like even the page group, they're not forcing the group to stay beyond its minimum, because its minimum is set right now at 320, and I'm guessing that's what you're seeing right now, is that the group is at 320. So if you go and change the minimum of the big group around it, or the page.
Yeah.
So just click in the first group. There, you see where it says minimum width 320? Just make that wider for a second.
No.
Nope.
Here.
So in the editor, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Make that like different.
Yeah.
Does it change it or no?
Yeah, it changes it.
Yeah. So if you change the settings of the elements within there to be wider, then it will start to push it wider. But right now the settings on all of the different groups are such that it's allowing that group to stay at its minimum width.
Oh, okay, but if I load the page on a computer on a bigger screen, I want it to be wider, even though I don't have any content. But if I'm loading it on an iPhone or something, I want it to be smaller, even if I don't have any content. How would I do that?
So you want it to be 320 when it's 320, but you want it to expand out when it's 992.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to set the, like, there's we'd have to go through element by element to see what's collapsing before it's too soon. Because what you have is the elements that are within the main group, they're automatically collapsing. So they're not holding the width of that group out.
Okay, so but they should collapse when you're on a smaller device.
Right, but they're just collapsing too soon. So I would have to probably go back and build it from scratch to kind of understand what's going on. I can't just look at it and tell.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but I'll thank you for the tips, and I'll play with this. Super.
Yep. Awesome. And then you can also, I think, in the new responsive editor, you can start to dynamically play around with those, but that might actually be a good question for Thomas. He's played around with it quite a bit.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Hey, Sus, how can I help?
Yeah, so so here is the listing page for the tool, and here are the tutorials. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have this plus button to add the collection, add the post to the collection. So basically, my idea is that, I don't know why it's acting all weird. It wasn't just a second ago. Okay, anyways. So this is a repeating field. a repeating group, I should say. And this repeating group will have every collection where the current user is a contributor for. Now, with that being said, first, how can I make this? Oh, well, I guess I just answered my own question. Second, I'm trying to figure out how to make the pop-up know, okay, so the user clicked on this post and then he selected this collection and add that post where the user clicked to that collection where the user clicked.
Got it. So if you go in the editor into that pop-up.
In this pop-up?
Yep. Just go ahead and click in the pop-up. Yep. So the type of content is tool posts, which is right. And then the data source is blank. So when they click that plus button, go to the workflow on the plus button. Display data in collection pop-up. So there. Okay, so you already have it set up correctly. So now when you are selecting the collection that you're going to add the post to, go to the, is there a button for saving your selection?
So my idea was that whenever they click this group, so let's say that they want to click this collection, that will save it. So
yeah, you could do it on that click. So what you would do is go ahead and create the workflow on that click.
So this is what I started doing. Yeah. I don't know if it's correct.
Yep, that's right. So current cells, collections, and then change another field. And then for the post, you're going to add the parent group, this collection, this group. Okay, so we have to pass the information down a little bit. So go back into design and go into the repeating group. Is the repeating group in a group itself?
No, it's just on the pop-up.
Okay, so what's the pop-up's name?
Collection pop-up.
Okay, so go back to the workflow. So go back in to make changes to collections. And then click where it says to click. And we want, start typing pop-up. I don't know why it's not showing up.
So you mean this one?
Collection, yep, collection pop-ups, tools post. There you go.
Okay. Can we test it?
And so, yep, that will add it to the, yep. But we also need to do the opposite.
To remove it?
Yeah, to remove it, because if they accidentally click the wrong one, you need to remove it as well. But that's okay, we can just test and make sure that it's adding it if you want.
Okay, so that should have added it.
Do you want to go to data? Yeah. Data.
Okay, so I need to figure out a way to.
Oh. Yeah, you have to start a page ahead of that.
Yeah, where people can search for the collections, right?
Mm-hmm.
test. Should have probably done this before, right?
Okay. We didn't have to think about every little thing. It wouldn't be bubble. But think of all the things we don't actually have to think about. And we don't have to write the code, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice thing, right? Okay, so it's here.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Now, if you go back to the workflow.
Okay.
So on when
actually I have to go back to the tool page. Add to collection. You mean this one or?
Yeah. So the one where it's making changes to the collection.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So now what you want to do is in the workflow itself, you want to add, not in make changes in the workflow, you want to add the only when condition. So only when current cells collections.
Current cell collection.
Current cells collections. When it doesn't contain. Current cells collection.
Well, actually,
post. Yeah, post doesn't contain the pop-up, the collections pop-up. Full post. Now, if you copy and paste that workflow, then you're going to change it now and say when it does contain. So just change the only when to say when it contains. And then change the make to remove, exactly.
Okay. I think I get it now.
Now they can add and remove it from the collection.
Okay. And now I just need to figure out this part, like what's going on. Okay. I think that was my two biggest questions.
Well, I've got time for smaller questions if you want.
Well, if we have time, can we talk about privacy rules?
Yeah.
Because
So
I think
excited,
that.
Tanya.
What was that, Ben?
Everyone's so excited to talk privacy rules.
Yeah, we could totally talk privacy rules. Privacy rules are awesome.
So I got one of those guides. I don't even know who put it together, but it was a PDF document with like 80-something pages about privacy rules. And I think that left me more confused than when I started.
Okay. All right. So privacy rules are first used to secure the data in your app in the sense that you can control what is shown on the page, right? And we know how to constrain our searches to certain items, and we know how to filter after that, right? You're familiar with filtering. The problem with filtering.
So you mean
right?
like this?
No, I mean when you're on the page itself. Do you want me to share my screen so I can kind of?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Show you what I mean? Okay. So first. away. Okay, so you're familiar with, let's just do a new page called privacy rules. So let's see what I have some app data in here with. Okay, so I have swimming, skating, and running on a team here, right? It doesn't have users though attached to it, so let's just use the user thing here. We've got 3 users. One of them is an app admin. The other 2 are probably standard users. Nope, this one, we'll make it a standard user. And this one as well, we'll make it a standard user. Okay. So now I have 2 standard users and 1 app admin. And so if I go into the privacy rules, I'm looking at the user privacy rules. We've got 2 rules. Well, technically we have 3 rules here, but the first rule says that the app admin can see and do everything except auto binding. The second one says if the current user is the same user, then they can see everything. And right now, the third one says that anyone, whether they're logged in or not, can see everything. So we're going to go ahead and take that off because we don't want to share any information with someone who is logged out, for instance. Right? I'm going to take all of these off. So now everyone else, if they're not either the app admin or the user that they want to see the information, then they can't see it at all. So the way that this translates here is, and another thing to keep in mind, current user's role is app admin, and we always like to add and current user is logged in. And the same here. Good. Right, so if I come in here into this page, I'm going to make a repeating group. So the problem is that I can do a search and I can constrain the search for users here, right? Because I can add any constraints I want to here on this level for the search of the database on Bubble servers for this app for users, right? So I can say I only want to search, we'll use full since we're going to be using full and other things here. Where the role is app admin, right? And if I do the search, the query goes to Bubble, and Bubble runs the query and only finds the users in this app where the role equals app admin, and then returns that list back to the browser, back to the users, right? So this is what I would call a primary constraint, because this actually constrains what Bubble is even returning back to the browser, right? So if Bubble is only returning this information, then I can only see the information that fits in this. That's the only information that's coming back in. Now, there's another thing that we use a lot in Bubble, which is the filter here. So I'm going to filter it further, and I'm going to say, in addition to the first order constraint of being an app admin, now I want to make sure that the like the cover photo is not empty or something, like whatever that filter is. So I could say isn't empty, right? And I can ignore empty constraints off because I want to do it on everything. Now, here's where the difference is. Bubble will not return anything except app admins when I'm using the primary constraint of role equals app admin. So I'm definitely going to get this list, and it's only going to contain app admins. So even if I were to preview this as an app admin, I don't think I put anything in my, I didn't put anything in here. So the privacy rules did not help me here because I used the first order constraint here, or the primary constraint is only going to return app admin users anyway, right? And if I was not running this as an admin, I wouldn't be able to see it, right? But now I have just the role here. Now imagine I have multiple app admins in this app. So I come in here and I say, this one has a cover photo, and I'm going to clear it. And then I'm going to do a new entry. Let's say, email at .com. We'll make this role first class. Email. We'll make this an app admin, and we'll upload a cover photo. So on this first order constraint, I'm only looking for app admins. On the second order constraint, I'm only looking for admins where the cover photo isn't empty. So I anticipate that when I come here, see, I didn't even have to refresh the page. I can see the second user that I added because it's an app admin, and I added that cover photo. And for the first one, I had deleted the cover photo.
Okay.
But the thing is that Bubble has returned 2 users here, right? So the query that I sent to Bubble, where I asked it to send me all of the app admins, it returned 2 users to the browser. And then Bubble on the browser and the client side filtered out one of those users. But if I go and I look in here, and I don't know how to look for it here, but if I go and I'm really good at what I'm doing, I can find that other user here. It exists here, right? It's just not being shown on the page because of the second order constraints, right? And the reason that's important to understand when it comes to privacy rules is because privacy rules are an even more surefire way to protect the data from even getting back to the browser, even if you happen to make a mistake in your first order and second order constraints, right? So if I go back here and I say, see here.
So what you're saying is that with the privacy rules, that data will not even make it to the browser.
Exactly, precisely. So the privacy rules are like even before this first order constraint. So the first order constraint will keep the information from even coming into the browser, but the privacy rules are like a 0 level, like the very first constraint, because the first bubble says, is this person even allowed to ask for this information?
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah. So what we can do then is I can say, let's say here, I want the role is app admin. So now I'm going to change it, and I'm going to say, I'm going to take this constraint away, right? So now I'm looking for all users, and I'm going to take this constraint away. So we don't have any constraints on this. I'm just searching for users, right? I want to see all of the users, right? But I'm going to run this as a non-admin. I'm going to run this as someone else, right? So I'll run as Sam. The only user I should see is Sam. And the reason I can only see Sam without putting any other constraints on here is because the privacy rule here, Sam is not an admin, right? So they can't see everybody, but Sam can see himself here,
Okay.
right? So without putting any constraints on the repeating group, I can still only see that one record, right? Whereas if I run a non-constrained, so still no constraints, but I come in here and I run it as the admin, I should see 4, right? So it's the exact same search, but because of privacy rules, I can see everything as an admin, but I couldn't see it when I was running as a non-admin.
Okay.
Now, it's important for security reasons, but it's also important because if you understand how that works, it helps you to optimize the speed of your app. Because Bubble will run the search based on the privacy rules and will only return like minimal data back based on your privacy rules. It'll only give you what you have permissions to see, and that can actually speed up searches that you conduct in your app.
That's interesting. Okay.
Is that helpful today?
Yeah, super simple to understand.
Okay, so you can construct very powerful rules here, right? So when you have it just so that the admin should be able to see everything and someone can see their own information, it's very straightforward. Things start to get a little bit tricky when you want people to be able, like, let's say we're talking about a marketplace with like a two-sided marketplace where the person might be selling something, and so you need to be able to see their store and their items, right? But you don't necessarily want to be able to see like their email address, for instance, right? So if I had another user here, so the self can see everything, so I could say here, I could call it a buyer. I'm going to say, okay, so a buyer, so when this current user is logged in, I might have a whole nother set of things, but I don't want to show them everything. So I can take the view all fields off. I can say, okay, what is this person allowed to see? I'm going to let them see the profile picture. I'll let them see the first name, but not the last name. I'll let them see, like any number of things that they can see, but I'll keep the rest private, right? And so you can get very granular as to what a user can and can't see belonging to other users. And you can even make it so that people who are not logged in, so everyone else can see something. Like maybe you want them to be able to see a cover photo or a profile picture as first thing, even if they're not logged in.
Okay.
Yeah. So something that you have to take into account when you're structuring your database, and I know it's a little it might be a little late for you. Like you can't start your app all over because you've made so much progress. But something I do recommend, and I think it's a best practice, is I would always start with an admin and an owner or a self role, and everyone else gets nothing. And I would do that on almost every single data type in your database. I would start with a strict policy, and then I would ease up on that policy with adding different rules and changing different rules as I need to during development. And the reason that's the best practice is because it's easier for you to debug privacy rules as you're building than to go back and add privacy rules and break functionality that you've already built and then debug it. So,
that would have been nice to know at the beginning.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice to know. And Bubble tried. Bubble really did try. A few months ago, they made it by default. They made this button checked by default, and I'm guessing that they had a horrendous week or two of everybody saying Bubble is broken, what's wrong, or people stopped using Bubble because they just figured that Bubble stopped working, and all it was the privacy rules were created when they created. Because if you make the data private by default, if you go into your privacy rules here and say default privacy, they just make this one rule here. The logged out user can't see anything, and you can only see it if you're the creator of that record.
Okay. So,
right? And so
that's really useful for those features that you're developing, but you don't want people to see yet.
There's that.
Okay.
I think when you're developing features that you don't want people to see yet, then I'm typically not deploying that to live, or I'm gating it behind. Like I make it so on page load, I just redirect them somewhere else if it's on the live version, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use privacy rules to hide something that's just not ready yet, I guess what I'm saying.
So what I've been doing is I just hide it on the conditionals using conditions for the role. If the user is admin, then
yeah.
I
So
don't know
the only reason I can think of is if you've been having to deploy fixes, like bug fixes, to the live site, but you already have other new stuff built. Is that why you're having to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I'd probably clone the page that I'm working on. And then what I would do on that clone, so I would go into add a new page and I would say clone. And I would say, okay, I want the clone of the enabler chart, right? And so I'll call it clone enabler, right? So then I would make all my changes to the clone. And what I would do in the workflow here is I would say, when page is loaded, navigate to the index page, and I don't know why I have a data type on the index page right now, and I would do that only when the version isn't live version is no. This one is so confusing. I hate this, like the way that they've done it. But if you're, but isn't live version is saying, is this not the live version? So it could be one of your development versions, right? So if it's one of your development versions, then this will evaluate to yes. And if it is the live version, then it will evaluate to no. So essentially you're saying is if the person lands on this page and we're in the live version, navigate them to the index because they shouldn't see this page.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way to do it. And then I just copy and paste everything whenever it's done.
Yep. Well, because when you're ready, you just can change this. Yeah, you can redirect. Like you can use your tool here and say action type would be go to page, and you can find all of the go to pages for that say enabler. And you can find all of the places in your app where you're navigating to that page and change it to the cloned page and change the name of the cloned page, right?
Okay,
so you don't have to, like, you could actually use this page. You don't have to go back and copy everything over. So what you would do is you would come back here and you would say, wherever that enabler one is, this one, you could rename it. And you could just say deprecated, right? And then you could come into the clone one and just take the clone part off. And then you could look for all of the references where like go-to page exists. And so you can look for all of the ones that say go to the one that says deprecated and switch it to say go to this page instead.
Okay.
You would just have to remember to take this workflow off when you do, because otherwise they won't be able to see it.
Yeah. But they give me some ideas.
Awesome.
Well, I really appreciate your help today. I have to bounce, but
okay. Good night. It was
thanks
great
a
to
lot.
see you. Yeah,
Hey,
of course.
likewise.
All right,
All right,
bye.
bye.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up office hours for now. We'll be back next time. Thank you so much for watching. Please do join us. We would love to meet you and see what you're building with your no-code tools. Go to pronocoders.com as soon as